What's up, everybody out there? How you doing? Welcome back over here to my channel, Pepe's Point of View, and I am your host, Pepe. Well, we have a little bit of P entertainment news for you today, and we have Eddie Murphy. That's right. It seems as if Eddie Murphy, is a man of, well, let's just say of some standards. According to U.S. Weekly, Eddie Murphy reports that he declined to do, that white substance. We're over here on YouTube, so there are some things that I can't say. With Robin Williams and John Belushi, he says God was looking over me. Exactly. And again, because I can't confirm nor deny these things, I have to put that a little allege button up there, right? So this is all alleged, is what Eddie Murphy is reporting. He says he was about 19 years of age at the time when he had a night out on the town with Belushi and Williams. Now, when I think about this, I have to honestly say that, I think we all should know that, when you are taking certain substances, right? It affects people more than others. And of course, as I talk about R&B divas over here, it made me think about something that R&B diva Vesta Williams said way back when, and especially during her unsung episode, she was basically saying, hey, she's hanging out with people uh, in the industry, and they, say, hey, you want some? And she was like, okay, yeah, fine, she grabs a little bit of the white substance, and then, you know, she does a line or what have you, and then she goes back and does another line, and she said by that second or third time, she said at that moment, of course you're hooked, but not only that, it's not free anymore. Like no, 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 now you got to get your own now. You see what I'm saying? So looking back at this, I'm kind of glad that he declined, at the age of 19, because you definitely would not know where his career would have ended up, as far as, what kind of Eddie Murphy we would have gotten as far as a stand up comedian as well as an actor. Of course, U.S. Weekly uh, goes on to say here, Eddie Murphy partially credits a night out with Robin Williams and John Belushi in the 1980s for helping him realize he wasn't interested in doing, taking in certain substances, I should say, something he sees as a gift from up above. I remember I was 19. I went to the blues bar. It was me, John Belushi, and Robin Williams. They start doing, the white substance, and I was like, no, I'm cool. Murphy 63 shared during an upcoming episode of the New York Times, the interview podcast. I wasn't taking some moral stance. I just wasn't interested in it. To not have that desire or the curiosity, I say that's providence. God was looking over me in that moment. When you get famous really young, especially black artists, it's like living in a minefield. Any moment, something could happen that can undo everything, And I definitely would have to agree with him on that. However, even though it looks as if Eddie Murphy has been able to stay away from, substances and liquid courage, if you will. It looks as if there's still some unflattering facts about Eddie Murphy's life. Okay. Now, here are some things that I want to just kind of go over briefly with you guys, as far as Eddie Murphy is concerned in his past. Now, this is not according to me. I've actually got this from a website called The Things, and it says 15 unflattering facts about Eddie Murphy's past. Okay. And so it says here he was named worst actor of the decade. Eddie Murphy was nominated and won the Razzie for the Worst Actor of the Decade back in 2010. He has bad luck with relationships. He's been married twice, although only one was legal, and he has bounced from girlfriend to girlfriend throughout his career. He talked his way out of an arrest. All of these are alleged on my part. Eddie and another woman exchanging business. And while Eddie talked his way out, the woman left in handcuffs. Okay. 12. Controversial statements. Yeah, Eddie Murphy has been crushing the comedy game for as long as we can all remember. While the times in which Murphy began his career were not as politically correct as today, it appears he is being called out for making a number of controversial remarks back in the 80s and 90s, most of which were made at the expense of the LGBTQ plus community. I think we're all aware of that, especially with his stand-up shows such as Raw, so on and so forth. So that's not it's controversial, but it's not unknown. I mean, the majority of the people know, some of the things that he has said about the LGBTQ plus community. 11. He is not a fan of animals. Dr. Doolittle? Oh my gosh, Dr. Doolittle is not a fan of animals. Oh wow. Well, this is definitely a shocker. Eddie Murphy, who played Dr. Doolittle, exactly, is actually afraid of animals. While we understand this is a legitimate fear for many, it appears Murphy is not so much afraid of them. Uh, but more not a fan. And while we get all animals are not as cute as cats or dogs, how can you not like all animals? Hey, it is Dr. Doolittle, right? Long lasting feuds. In addition to making a number of controversial remarks throughout his comedy career, Eddie Murphy has also found himself in the hot seat when it comes to feuds. One of his most known feuds was with fellow actor and comedian David Spade. Oh my gosh, I think that is still coming up, isn't it? A comment made by Spade on SNL, Saturday Night Live, led to a 30 years feud between him and Murphy. 9. Sued for stealing a movie idea. Alleged, I don't know. One of Eddie Murphy's biggest movies to date is none other than Coming to America. The 1988 film was allegedly stolen and ripped off by Murphy and Paramount Pictures after reportedly stealing the idea from its original writer, Art Bushwall. I could be not pronouncing his name wrong. Butchwall had written a similar concept which involved Murphy, only to have it denied by Paramount and later turned into a film with extreme similarities. Ooh, I have to look into that. He stormed out of the 2007 Oscars. Eddie Murphy has taken on a number of incredibly funny roles throughout his career. However, when the actor starred in Dreamgirls, this marked one of his first ever serious roles. The role landed him a 2007 Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. While this was a major feat for Murphy, he ended up losing to Alan Arkin from Little Miss Sunshine. Eddie was so displeased that he allegedly left the ceremony moments later out of anger. Come on, you guys. I mean, really, seriously. Now that I think about this, on the music side of things, I don't know if you guys recall this, especially if you are not old enough to remember. But Barry White, singer, songwriter, producer, musician, Barry White, that Barry White, I think he just pretty much boycotted not the Oscars, but the Grammys after he lost to Bette Midler. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna forget the Grammys." And sometimes I could see how an artist, an actor, or a singer could probably feel like, "Yeah, I had a really, really good year. This is one of my best years ever," and then all of a sudden I lose out, so on and so forth. Yeah, I can understand, but storming out like that, I don't know. It is what it is. He had a rough upbringing. Despite his ups and downs throughout his career, there's no denying that Eddie Murphy had quite a rough upbringing. His father passed away while Eddie was still very young, leading him and his siblings to enter foster care. I didn't know that. The actor claims that his childhood led him to comedy, which later became a security blanket for Eddie, ultimately leading him to a successful career in just that. Oh wow. Yeah, you never know how things are going to turn out for you. Good for him. Married for 2 weeks. While Kim Kardashian and Britney Spears are notorious for having incredibly short marriages, Eddie Murphy has managed to find himself on that same boat. Eddie married Tracy Edmonds back in 2008 in French Polynesia. Wait a minute, I forgot all about that. While the wedding itself was not seen as legal in the United States, it ended only 3 days later, and their relationship was officially over 2 weeks after that. Interesting. His refusal to host the 2012 Oscars. Well, what do you think? If he stormed out of the Oscars in 2007, do you think he probably still wasn't feeling raw? Wow, I like that. Raw, then you got Raw, the comedy special he did. But anyway, I like that play on words. His refusal to host the 2012 Oscars. It appears the Oscars had been quite a fickle place for Eddie Murphy. One of Eddie's good friends, Brett Ratner, made a number of comments and remarks prior to the 2012 Oscars, which landed him to be disinvited. Murphy, who was expected to host the Oscars that year, stepped down due to them disinviting Ratner. Really? Many thought it was a bad decision and showed that he stood for and defended what Brett Ratner had said. I'm gonna have to figure out what that was. Number four, he denied being Mel B Baby Daddy. You better say that again. As mentioned, Eddie Murphy has definitely had his ups and downs when it comes to relationships. One of his most high-profile romances was with none other than singer and former Spice Girl Mel B. The two dated back in 2006 and would later break up 2 years later. Mel B was pregnant at the time and believed Eddie was the father. Murphy did not agree and denied a paternity test. Well, Eddie, as it turned out, you are the father. He tried to make it in the music industry. You know what? Hey, I like Party All the Time, and he had put out another song called Put Your Mouth on Me. I like that song. It is what it is. I might have to cover that album just to see because I have not heard Eddie Murphy's entire albums, but I like the song, and I think it was probably back in 1988. Put Your Mouth on Me came out, or 89 or something like that. But anyway, yeah, he did have a music career. While acting in stand up while always there for Eddie Murphy, it appears the actor wanted to venture out into the world of music. Not only did he come out with an album and a hit song, but he also made a song with Michael Jackson in 1993. I think that song was called not Yeah. Was it Yeah? I can't remember. What was the name of that song? But anyway, while this all sounds great, perhaps him not pursuing it further was a smart choice. Number two, he caught the Shrek curse. Ooh, I wonder what that is. While there's no actual evidence behind this story, it appears Eddie Murphy caught the Shrek curse. Of course, he has not had the best of luck in their careers afterward. And while this all sounds far fetched, we have to think back and remember when the last time Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and Mike Myers appeared in anything as big or relevant after him. After. Mm. His ego got too big. I don't know, did it? Considering he was one of the biggest comedians throughout the 80s and 90s, we don't blame Eddie Murphy for thinking highly of himself. However, confidence took a turn for cocky real fast with the actor. It appears his ego got way too inflamed at times, causing a lot of issues within his friend group and ultimately his career. All I want to know is if that got in the way, his ego got in the way with his friendship with what's Arsenio Hall. Now, if his friendship got in the way, ego got in the way with his friendship with Arsenio Hall, then I would be like, oh yeah, Eddie Murphy, maybe you might want to rethink, your self confidence in certain things. But anyway, that is all the P entertainment news that I have for you at this moment in time. And if you got to this part of my commentary, I think it's only appropriate for me to ask you guys, hey, hit the like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Yes, I hope you feel the love over here because I definitely am giving out love. Yes, I am. I thank you guys so much. And remember, my motto over here is simple. Remember to put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you all know what to do. You should know what to do by now. Yeah, and that is take care of yourselves. All right. Talk to you later.